Okay, so this video is regarding my DBMS exercise number 2 for the class CSC 6710, and this is the pointers which I am going to follow in this, which I followed in this exercise. So first of all, I searched for system information, which opened this, and I searched this so that I get to know that whether it's a 32-bit system or a 64-bit system. If it's a relatively newer system, then it's a 64-bit system. It has to be a 64-bit system. So I found this so that I can install the right version of MySQL, and then I selected this link, the MySQL server link, and then this is where I was redirected to, and then that's the Microsoft Windows, as this is my Windows 10 operating system, and I selected the web community version. You can even select this one, but this was a relatively smaller download file, so that's the reason I selected this one. And so I just hit download, and then no need to create an account, just no thanks, and just start my download. And this is what it installed, and this is what it downloaded. And then I just double clicked it, and then it just open the dialog box, the usual dialog box like this, and then I installed the MySQL server and MySQL workbench. There were a few options: custom, full, bare bones, I guess, and I selected the custom version, custom option, and I just downloaded these both. And so that's my MySQL workbench. And then in order to know that this MySQL was successfully installed and it is running, so what I did was I searched for services, and then I hit enter. So this is what it opens, and these are all the services on my system. So we go for MySQL. Yep, that's my MySQL name, so that's MySQL, and it shows running. And the startup is automatic because I have selected once the system is turned on, it should start automatically, so that I just don't need to navigate to this page and then just click and then right click and then stop, pause, or /start. Okay, so that's done. And then this is what it opened. So first of all, it when installing MySQL, I had option. I selected the root, so I entered the password, and then this is my root. So as you can see, select user. So I'll just run this, control enter, and as you can see, root added localhost. And then I created a user named John. As you can see, this is John, and I gave him all of the roles, and that's what John is. So if I hit control enter, and see, John added localhost, and he has all of the authority, so he can create a database. This is for creating a database named testdb, and then use this database. This is very important, or else MySQL will throw up an error that hey, you didn't select any database. So yeah, I select use testdb and then create a table with these columns, and then I inserted 3 values. And then what this statement does is it just throws out all of the whole of the table. So if I do control enter, it should do control enter, and then it gave me the whole table, as you can see over here. And then what we did was, that's done. Imported the database, yes. And so this is what we created. And so I downloaded the database worksheet, as you may see it. So from the GitHub, from Professor Shiyong Lu's GitHub account, and then so it downloaded these files. Let me get so it downloaded these files, and this one, in this exercise, I'm doing the test2.java, and I opened it using Notepad. So this is what it opened, and then the password, the password for the John was changed. So I changed the password that I entered in my system, and Okay, so that's what this thing does, and then I compiled the test2.java over here, and no errors means that's a good news. So this is the compilation and this is the running. And yeah, I got one more error stating that I didn't have the privilege, or else the John's password was wrong, but I was for sure that I had entered the right password. So what I did was, how I solved this error was, I just searched for terminal and I hit this, right click, and then run as administrator. So as you can see, administrator command prompt, and so after that the test ran successfully, and that's what I got. And now, in order to explain this test2.java, okay, so what the first few statement does is it is a group of import statements to include all of the required classes from the Java SQL package. It's just like your normal code, like Python, import datetime, because you are gonna use datetime further in your code, and so it just looks clean to import everything in upfront. And then public class test2, so this declares the class test2 within the public class specifier. And then the private static connection, so this statement, so these all statement, what they do are declare and initialize the variables of type connection, and then the statement, and then the prepared statements and result sets to null. So that's basically like time equals to 0 in your normal code. And then the public static void main string bracket args, or arguments, as you might say. This is the main method of the program, and it contains the code that will be executed when the program is run. As you can see, that's what we connect, so that John and the password, that's what we enter. And yeah, so this line, so this loads the MySQL JDBC driver, but this line was commented in this code, so we are not gonna go deep into it. And then, so connect equals to driver manager dot get connection, and this all things. So this line sets up a connection to the MySQL database. This connection string specifies the database URL, so that's a database URL. Yep. And SSL usage, so use SSL equals to false, so we are not going to use SSL. And then the username is John and the password is pass1234. And then the statement equals to connect.create statement. This creates a statement object from the connection. And then the result set statement.execute query, select from student. This executes select statement on the student table and returns the results in the result set. Okay, I hope it was clear. And then write results. Okay, so this method is called to print the contents of the result set. And then the prepared statement, we reached over here. So prepared statement equals to connect.prepared statement and insert student values. So this creates a prepared statement with placeholders for the value to be inserted. So each question mark is a placeholder where the value is to be added / included. And then the prepared statement set end, so this sets the first placeholder to 0, so that's a placeholder and that's the value you want to be added. So our first placeholder is this. Don't get confused with your basic computer science. So I mean, it isn't 0, so you might think that this is 1, so this is 1 and 0 1 2 3. No, it's 1 2 3 4. So 1 0 and then 2 Thomas Jefferson, 3 that's the address, that's where it goes. And then the fourth, it's the senior, so that's where it goes. Okay, and then the prepared statement or execute update, this executes a prepared statement. which will insert the values into the student table. And then the result set. So this executes select statement on student and results and returns the result in the result set. As we already discussed earlier, yep, that's the same statement. And then the write results set result set. This method is called to print the contents of the result set. And then private void write metadata throws SQL exception. This method prints the metadata of the result set. And then a second, so yeah, private static void write. Yeah, private static void. And so what it does is that this method prints the contents of the result set, and then the private static void close. This method closes the result set statement and connection objects. It's always good to close the objects which you had opened earlier in the code. And yeah, that's the curly bracket. That this marks the end of the class. Yeah, so and in the output, as you can see, we had we printed these results from the table. And yes, so that was all for the exercise number 2. Thank you.